3, 2, 1.
We'd like to welcome you to another edition of Grok Talk, brought to you by New Hampshire's leading conservative blog site, GraniteGrok.com. We are your feared, extremist, right-wing, hard-charging, gun-toting, opinionated, outspoken, rabble-rousing, letter-writing, radio microphone stomping conservatives and rational libertarians. So get ready for more news and opinion you could only get from GraniteGrok.com.
Grok Talk.
Yeah, that's right. You can only get it from GraniteGrok.com. And you're going to get it, too. All right, welcome
says
back.
That with such vigor.
Attitude. Thanks to Paul Best, who's still with us, to continue the conversation. And, of course, to get Murphy Susan Olson, our stand-in guest host, who is welcome to stand in as a guest host as long as you want.
Thank you. But we do have to make room for Haggie next week.
We do have to make room for Haggie. She couldn't make it this week.
Haggie Madison, she's got a Common Core gig that took her out of town.
She's off pimping Common Core, so we're going to continue without her. But I'd like to welcome our next guest, who's a recurring guest. We haven't had her on in a while, but we're happy to have here Darlene Pawlik. Thank you so much for coming in.
Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it.
Oh, great. So, obviously, the news in the world of life has been interesting and dire in certain circumstances with all these videos coming out. And, of course, the news yesterday, STEM Express has cut its Planned Parenthood connection. Aborted was the word I used this morning.
Ooh.
Aborted that relationship.
No.
And so that's been dominating the news in the world of life. But you had an article that you posted, and it's about some of the positive things. And we kind of wanted to talk about that.
Excellent. The videos have prompted a lot of phone calls and a lot of tears and a lot of women that have, and men too, who have really, even those that have been healed, come to see and hear all of this stuff again, and it's really brought up a lot of other feelings and the very difficult emotions from the traumatic pregnancy loss that they experienced, whether that was by abortion or whether it was stillbirth. It's very traumatic, and so I just wanted to take a look at the positive things that are going on, and we do have a lot of events coming up in New Hampshire. We have in September. We have Pillars of Personhood training that's going to happen, and that is, it's a 4-panel display that's 5 feet tall by 9 feet long on 4 corners. So it's really big, and we take that to colleges. And Josh Edmonds is the Georgia director for Pillars of Personhood. He's going to come up and do our training so that we can bring that out to the area around. And it has, the first panel is all human growth and development. The second panel is what happens when we deny personhood. So we're showing the victims. We don't have anything from the time of like Pol Pot or Kosovo or any of those. It's just 3 major ones. So we have slavery, the Holocaust, and we have, of course, the modern atrocities of a couple of victims from abortion. And then on the next panel, there are the elitist views, like who is deserving of personhood. So what are the exceptions that might be made?
Suitable persons.
Absolutely.
Suitable persons, right. Yes. I get it. I signed it.
Thank you. This is such a bright crowd. God, I love this place.
I am one of those gun toters. The 4th panel is emerging technologies, and on there is depicted, for example, cowboys, where they've mingled the DNA from cows and children, and those emerging technologies and the ultra-humans that are being created in laboratories around the world. And so what we do at Pillars of Personhood is we walk around the panels with college students and we talk about what it means to be a person and what happens when personhood is denied, and sort of just get the whole concept of why we should have the right to personhood according to the 14th Amendment.
Personhood.
Mm-hmm.
Sort of.
Bad pun.
Yeah.
Bad pun.
Did you have a question?
No, I'm fascinated. I didn't know this was taking place. I didn't know there was this sort of level of involvement with young people. I think that's incredible. I came out of that first wave in the 60s and 70s of these raging feminists who all of a sudden found out that there was such a thing as a birth control pill. You know, and you could go off to college and literally screw around, and your parents didn't know anything about it, and nobody would say anything. It didn't cost any money, and how cool is this? And it was sold as a form of truly a rebellion and freedom, and you walk around with these signs and free love and free Poland and free checking, and I don't know, it was tough times, weird times.
Yeah, the problem is that there ain't no such thing as a free lunch, and certainly I think the generations today are paying the toll for that. Now,
exactly.
But I have a question for you.
Yes, sir.
When you talk about going to young people, you immediately think of colleges and universities, and we know what kind of a hotbed that is for every kind of just weird stuff arising from our generation.
Absolutely.
I have to
it's
say,
our
the
fault.
boomers,
There's no
it
question.
is our fault. And, if you, oh gosh, what's his name? Oh, it'll come to me. He's a university professor at UNC who writes an awful lot on Town Hall, Mike Adams. And he talks about some of the stuff that happens when people who are trying to be pro-life, and they set their signs up and their displays up on campuses. And as you put it, the raging feminists come along just totally outraged at this they're macroaggressions now how dare you show these kinds of pictures and have that kind of a message.
Make me think about it. It's such a buzzkill.
You are being oppressive, and you kind of go, what? Is part of this training going to cover that? How do you
absolutely.
answer these kinds of people, and what do you do when they start trashing not just you, but as we saw out at University of California, where one of these raging feminists actually attacked some teenagers that were just quietly carrying the signs. They weren't even saying anything, but she took the signs and then beat them with it when they tried to get the signs back.
She was a professor, I think.
She was a full professor.
Mm-hmm.
Right, and I forget the names because I'm horrible at names. But
they all look alike. You can see a picture of them. They all look alike. Sorry.
There's a phrase going through my head.
Sorry.
Yeah.
I didn't mean to get off track. But the idea that teaching young people is huge, and I think you're asking about at what age is this appropriate to start?
Well, I was thinking more of the self-defense. When you get attacked on campus, will this training have that? Because you are going into the belly of the beast.
Right. Yes, actually, one of the things that I have found, because I did what Created Equal used to call the Genocide Awareness Project. We did that at UNH. We did a mini gap. And so it was all pictures of developmental stages and victims of abortion. And there was some opposition. It was significant. We weren't physically attacked at that time, but things have escalated since then. That was 2007. And so I will have security on in the presence.
I volunteer.
Wonderful, thank you. That'd be awesome. Our first training is going to be right here in Concord, and right now we don't actually have an outreach event. So the Monday of the 21st of September, if you're in college and you want this to come to your school, please let me know, and I will make arrangements to make that happen. I could also do it at high schools if we had permission, but that's a lot more logistics issues with the permission ways, so it probably wouldn't happen right now. But if you're in high school and you want this to come to your school, you can let us know, and we'll go through we'll jump through the hoops to get it to your school. If that takes a couple years, that's fine with us.
I like that long-term thinking, couple years.
Oh, absolutely, yes. So this is not something that we're going to do once. This is something that New Hampshire Right to Life Educational Trust has purchased. The display, Josh is going to come up and teach a team of our people how to do it, so we will be bringing it around the state and maybe even in other places in New England. It is a long-term project, and it's not something that's going to go away quickly. The next thing that happens on the very next day is the Bringing America Back to Life convention. And this is going to be held in Nashua at the Crown Plaza. We have speakers from around the nation that are going to come and speak all day Friday and half day Saturday. And then Saturday afternoon, we're going to have presidential candidates come for a meet and greet. So it's going to be kind of a big deal. The speakers we have is, we were talking about Planned Parenthood earlier. Abby Johnson's going to come on Friday night, and she's our special guest, and she'll do the gala dinner for us. And so we'll be thrilled to hear from Abby and all the stuff that she's been doing now that this is all being turned up again. Abby's a very busy lady. She's was a clinic director for Planned Parenthood, and she's since turned pro-life 5 or 6 years ago. I'm not sure about the dates, so please apologize for that. But she has written a book, and she's gone around and speaking, and she's very pro-life now, actually adopted at least one child and maybe more. I don't remember, to be honest. I know so many pro-life people who adopt children. They're always saying you only care about them when they're in utero and you don't care about them after, which is completely wrong. We have Dennis Howard, who's going to come and talk to us about the economics of abortion, and the silent echo is what I'm calling it. And that is that 56 million surgical abortions have depleted our intelligence, have depleted our productivity, have depleted our ingenuity by depleting the fact that we don't have those people here now. It's also depleted our social conscience and our ability to have as much empathy and care for one another, because we just have this degraded sense of what being alive is really about. And so he's going to talk to us about that. Mike Griffin's going to give us a real good talk on personhood and what that really means in the social, economic, and political realms. And so that's going to be really great. And our local speakers are going to talk to us briefly. So because we have local speakers here, we're just going to give a few local speakers a few minutes, and then if local people want them to come back for something longer, they'll have the opportunity to do that. So more like sound bites. So I'm going to talk about the elitist view of exceptions in pro-life legislation. Ellen Kolb's going to talk about the impact of social media. Jane Cormier is going to talk about changing hearts and minds one at a time, or small groups, that sort of thing. And Kelly Roy is going to talk about human trafficking and its impact on pro-life legislation, and what it means to encompass human dignity in all of its forms. We have a couple of other speakers that I don't have in front of me right now, but
do you have a date?
It is September 18th and 19th. And if you go to Bringing America Back to Life NewEngland.org, yes, it's very long. It's very long every time I type it. But if you go to my Facebook page or Bringing America Back to Life New England search, you should be able to find our Facebook page. There'll be links there so you can find us easily. The whole program is there. You can register online. You can donate, buy a table, please, please, please. If you are part of an organization and you want to have an exhibit table, you're more than welcome to do that also. Everything's right there online. It's very easy to do.
Okay, we're going to take a quick break, and we'll be right back with more of this. Stay tuned.
This is the Coalition of New Hampshire Taxpayers. We're located at 8 North Main in Concord, New Hampshire. This is a repository for all things conservative and municipal. So if you have a problem in your town, your school, your budget committee, the right to know law, and now, at the top of our list is voter fraud. You have a tip for us, some information for us, you want to join or help us out, cnht.org.
Rock Talk.